Just a bit of some talking, talking and playing, I guess. While I drink some of this not completely cold instant coffee with peppermint, whatever in there. No maple syrup though. This stuff is becoming sacred. Oh, wait a second. The United States makes a heck of a lot of maple syrup too. We actually have a maple syrup plant that started up within like the last 8 years, like just like a mile down the road. It's pretty cool seeing their lines get set up and everything, and watching the steam come out of the pipe of their building and everything. Anyway, I have to cough. There's going to be a lot of that going on. I probably should do that before I start the video, but you can't expect that. Plan for that. I don't even like the taste of that. At one point, I was able to taste. All right, we have some kombucha tea mixed with peppermint. Very cold, almost palatable. This is out now. This thing's super light. I'm going through some guitars, trying to lighten up whatever you might call as a collection, even though each of them is something I really like. Blah, blah, blah. Anyway, tuning's probably a bit off, even though it's altered tuning anyway. That's okay. There's some players out there that said they pick up the guitar no matter what tuning it was in and play it unto no regard, and all that kind of thing. Don't mind the last post. If you can be out of your head or whatever, like trying to live in the world that we have today and everything like that. But I think to have works of archetypes and being offbeat with your beat and everything like that, as far as bacteria riding in on a comet or whatever the freaking title was anyway. Bacteria riding a comet to a planet. Yeah. So basically an idea of a creation story and all of that. And I used the image of a Dogon tribe member who back then seemed knowledgeable. So I'm going to cough. I'm going to probably, I'll just step off screen when I cough, you know. Yeah, I can't get cleared up. I really can't. Try the nose. Try out of the nose. We can't. I just can't. Kind of. Not yet, though. Whatever. I got a napkin around. Don't worry. It's not like I'm clamoring all over the place or anything. Whatever. I'll feel better when I need to. Welcome to the world. Anyway. I'll tell you of things I've seen, I guess. But not now. See, I'm going like just non-stop wavering back and forth constantly, but if I had a drum beat to fill in with and everything, I could get a backtrack layered and, you know, have some brevity and all of that. So. even like gonna go into like really fretting any of the treble strings there, because I mean, if it was guitar on itself and everything, it would be like kind of neglecting adding in on that component or whatever. This is the repercussion of actually putting any thought into that anyway, or thinking about it. Typically, honestly, I really think just to go with it, and then start adding in other instruments and everything. And that's where, when you start adding anything up in a high or treble, is through another instrument is where you begin to think about it. But basically, you're just using whatever change ups through the bass resonance and everything like that. And for my approach, if there's any curiosity about it, because I feel like this life is probably going to be done or whatever by the time I even get close to any go with anything, seeming as how it's been in this existence for me. I know I rant so much about the area that I live in and everything, but by God, you think I would have... I mean, you have to force your own chance, but then you get yelled at for doing that or whatever, or ostracized and everything like that. So when you're fully repaired or whatever, how far into life are you? You know what I mean? Like, wow. But typically, like, for me, I really love just laying something like that down and then going with something to fill in whatever the treble or high note would be. And doing the percussion later on. I don't always like having the percussion as a first sort of thing, unless it's a full ensemble track or whatever, where you're working on it from the keyboard, I like to think that anything I record, as far as percussion goes, if you're using a keyboard, if you're capable of actually playing it, if you were to have all that setup of instruments around, then you'd be able to take care of it. So it's not any loss of like misrepresentation or anything, because with the instruments on the keyboard anyway, I think they translate rather well, like they sound good, they sound really decent, and I just happen to have hundreds of songs with desync issues though, so I could either release what I have. I love to record this video when I'm feeling sick. That'd be great, Just skip the video completely if you don't want to hear a lot of coughing in between everything. It's completely alright, whatever. YouTube, you got millions of other things out there anyway, so I can either go through everything and re-record percussion tracks and everything, or I can just use a creative approach of having people be a bit more open-minded with what the drum patterns are in the background and everything anyway. I'm kind of like allergic to things repeating too much in a song anyway, and like especially today, like I'm so much more used to like the sound of 1970s percussion or anything, where there's like change ups and everything going on, and it's not just the same thing the whole way out. It seems the ego and the arrogance of today's musicians has ramped itself up beyond levels ever known before, but then the fact of delivering or doing anything actually unique or from the soul is lacking too. Like, like some of the things recorded where music yeah, it's phenomenal. Some of the, I don't know, let's just forget talking about that. Trouble zones, I don't want to make any so-called contemporaries my enemies any deeper than they likely are or anything like that. So the amount of trouble I feel like I'm in for striving on my own and everything is up there. So anyway, this Dreadnought though, I really... I mean, if you're like anal retentive about it or whatever, you can understand the patterns and the go-tos and everything. I don't want to hone in too much of myself, understanding too much of that about myself, because then I would probably get a bit irritated of paying attention to repetition rather than just going with what feels gracious or the best or the most cathartic as far as playing and everything, and then you might, because then when a change up comes in your own playing style and everything like that, and you feel it's time to move on to something different, then that's the right time for that, I think. But just, whatever happens when just sitting down right now and playing, it's what happens to be, and I can't fight with that, and I don't think I ever really fought with inspiration being improvisational, as far as music goes. So. But yeah, anyway, I think like everything for that jarring of approach, its soundtrack and everything like that. But yeah, yet again, I'm a back and forth about coming out with like words and everything to describe like being in the wrong place at the wrong time in the wrong scene and not having a crew and everything and having a lot of things not really add up. Like, I didn't want to put the one video out where it's like had people come right up in front of my camera when I was trying to record, and I hadn't done that in a long time. And because it like puts a bad look on you when you bring it up and everything. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, oh, stop complaining about it all. But it's just like, man, I don't know. I mean, there's a creative well within and everything, and you're like fighting and striving to just see every moment of every day, be met with survival and everything. And then in a spare gas tank is this creative force and everything, and it's supposed to die down or minimalize, by like middle age or something like that, and it's just like I want to keep bending the idea of representing archetypes in music and doing it my own way, even though like every odd has been against me, but it's only because I've, had a constriction of being in a certain area, it honestly sucks around here and it's getting way worse, and it's like what are supposed to be my contemporaries and, people you work alongside with and everything like that, like they'll like stab you in the back around here and all that kind of thing. Don't worry about my eyebrows, by the way. I've just been purposefully not nailing them down. You ever see Ox Baker, the wrestler? That's what I'm aiming up to be, is to become Ox Baker. Not that other guy. No, that other person. Those eyebrows. But, yeah, I don't know. I don't really want to talk too much about musical, like instrument settings and specifications or whatever. Or, it's just like the idea that I'm just going for this very thick pick lately to kind of soften and add some real bass to everything and all that kind of thing, like I'm in a position where unless people become open-minded and encouraging again about musical approaches, I'm pretty much in trouble with everybody as far as like music approaches go and everything like that. And I usually don't want to have any flack from anybody because it's not going to make a difference for the way that I do things musically and still have the gall or whatever to even attempt doing anything, you know. Being one of those people that looks at themselves and sees, somebody else saying, "Hey, I have a band camp available. Would anyone actually make anything that I create or support anything that I created or whatever?" And then you see everyone else that gets all the support and everything like that, and it's like, okay, that's cool. They're doing everything the right way. They're writing their songs the right way. They're doing it a way that it's all expected to be done and everything like that. And it's just like, even if I could do that, there wouldn't be an inner satisfaction fulfilled in my being if I played a song without like having some kind of trip up in it or something like that. And I really think that somebody that really honed in on putting a cap or finishing chapters out and making it concise with that kind of approach is Sean Bonnewell, who had the Music Machine as a group and everything, and he was able to publish full songs and some albums and have them released as almost like B-sides and unreleased in an album later on and everything. And then he did his own gentle music and recordings and everything later on. And there's beauty in it, but then there's, a lot of alien kind of experimentation and things I feel really not being done, that were done decades later, but nobody, like, how did anyone even get a gist of who he was, I mean, because that was, from my understanding, even before 13th floor elevators and all that and everything, but, he was able to kind of get a good maneuvering of being able to steer that creative exploration into not really a guessing game, but developing a talent of being able to want to like pursue going a certain direction in sound and then bringing it back or adding, harmonies and putting pedals into something that was, like garage rock and pre-psychedelic music and everything like that. And then there's a band with a name that's kind of, it was just like, it's like, do you want to bring this band up or whatever? It's like some band and their name was Vanilla Fudge. And if you look at those performances of what that band was doing too, and then you just look at things around today or whatever, there's just some sort of like soul difference going on. And I feel it, and I don't feel like I'm part of today's generation. And I know for sure that's going to cause a lot of people that have like shoulder armor on to kind of butt me out of the way. But it's like, I don't belong to this generation, and I don't like it. I don't like this generation. I don't like the last probably like whatever. I don't want to talk too much about it because it's negative thinking. I just know I have a place. I have a right to be able to do what I've been doing, but how many more, not only years, but how many more days do I even have, left at this point? So, whatever, I just want to go somewhere where if I take the chance to go out and do something and then I find like it's just coincidental, you're going to have people just run right in front of your camera and your audio gear and talk as loudly as possible and all this kind of thing, and you go to get gigs and everything or whatever, or you even go to get guitar repairs locally and you get like the runaround from people constantly, and it's just like this idea of like what's legit as far as my own worries or my own understanding about people around here, what's legit about it versus what's just accepting the attitude that this is a snobby area, the emotions are really cold. If you're not in with anyone from the get-go or whatever, you're like SOL or whatever, SOS, SO something, and I just, I don't know. I was going to write a song called How I Became Antisocial, and I don't know. I got to do this all myself too, You know how much of a pain it is when you get the percussion thing done completely and then you're like got desync going on and it's pretty much unusable. So you have to morph the idea of sound itself, like the expectations, and just be like, okay, I'm going to use this anyway. How am I going to morph all this time I put in for all these percussion tracks in the background and everything like that. And then like somewhere desync starts, and you cannot bring the file over this way to match it here without it now being unaligned back here. Now, if I get a little bit better still and feel less sick, get a professional backdrop rather than being in my room, I could probably talk about creative ideas and being somebody that probably should have given up on creating a long time ago and all that kind of thing, you know, or at least figured out how the hell to get out of this area. Because honestly, people don't like me around here and everything, but they don't really know me. But you figure you're not going to bend yourself a different direction to become likable by people who judged you that way in the first place. You know what I mean? I know that this tooth got ripped out and everything, which still sucks, but I still got some snarl and some bite and sharpened up teeth and everything like that, you know? And I'm one of those kind of critters that you can't take and force to bend that way because everyone wants you to bend that way, you know. So I don't know what I'd play. I'm a bit right now. Don't have like the knack of just being warmed up right now, or I'd play a bit more and everything. But see, so that's okay though. I just thought I'd sit and talk for a few and all that kind of thing. But if I'm going off and, you know, making some stuff that has that image like bacteria riding a comet to a planet or whatever, it's just me being creative, you know. You have to give yourself a free range of going completely out of your head and being safe with it. It's the aspect of swimming in the waters in which others drown in and everything. But when you find yourself feeling unwell due to like social situations and things like that, that's where frustration and anger and dissonance and everything and dejection comes out. And it's not through the creative process of like making a song like that and then using a very bizarre looking image, like if somebody speaks about like, you know, having mental clarity or anything like that. If you put it through the creative process, you're just taking that and using it in a healthy kind of way. But if you don't have any creative like palette or anything to guide that you know tension into, that's when it starts to suck. And if you're like not feeling well and having to recuperate and everything like that, that's when you don't have that time to transfer that tension, you know, into catharsis. But you know, you can tap into many different kind of packets or mini rooms, you know, of expression, and that's what I really like to do. So everywhere there's a kind of a place where you're trying to make a subtle and soft, subtle, maybe supple, soft song, and try to find some elegance and appreciation of simplicity and everything. There's that, but then, you know, there's a different aspect that wants to create something really brash, you know, really very quite brash, you know, and stir things up and go a bit wild and everything like that. And I still want that and I still like that. But it's not in a way that's going to follow some sort of like punk rock song or something, because to be honest, that gets very boring. It gets so boring. I don't know how, you know, a punk band could go and play songs like that again and again and again and not be like, I want to do something direct. I want to direct this way the song goes in a different way or whatever, you know. So my own exploration for that. I don't really listen to too many other artists that like aren't kind of like the ones known by everyone, and as far as that approach goes, and I'm not really copying them or anything. But if I had my chance or my choice to sit down and get things together and everything like that, I guess I think it'd be like Tom Waits and Nick Cave, you know, and then having that energy of, you know, kind of like theater, you know? There's a whole spiel and everything I can get in about, though, about having a male magical presence that isn't being what today is basically a simp or an orbiter or a cuck. Having somebody actually have a strong male presence today that tunes into the magical, that isn't some sort of like new age male spinster or somebody that's all frilly nilly that seems like they have a feather tickling up their arse, going like, to actually have like a directive and everything like that, like a soul fire that almost causes like intimidation through sound unless you pass the barrier and can ride with it and trust it and be daring enough, you know? And that's where I'm going to get in a whole lot of trouble if I talk about it any further or anything like that. But I feel like um, disingenuous male feminists posturing as rock and roll energy has really made a downfall as far as males being able to have that androgynous power within that's beyond some sort of fashion fiasco, you know? And it's basically representing both hemispheres of the brain and using both tradition and also a new creative approach to represent that. And I'm just not here to kiss anyone else's butt when it comes to music, but I'm not trying to be hasty and disagree with people either. It's just, finding your own. I like intensity, and I like a kind of mixture between something classical and something fun and exciting that just so happens to be, I guess, dangerous, about what rock and roll is in a way. And I have to put a firm foot down too that 1950s or whatever style rock and roll is way different than the whole hair metal kind of thing. I think there's a ghostly avenue of soulfulness in the things where people were working on their own motorbikes or whatever, doing their own thing versus like hair metal kind of stuff. So that's how I feel about it. I don't know. That's just some thoughts. I'm welcome to kind of change up my consideration about maybe being too hasty about things. I don't know. My thing is just to have an orchestra or be a composition writer and everything like that, but be completely like instilled in wonderment about the whole process as it's going on. It's kind of having an invocation of playing and being surprised by what's happening as it's happening, following it through, and then looking at and studying the result later on. That to me is like one of the funnest ways of having music come to be. And it's you have to trust your creative source. Can I say 100%? It's a bizarre thing to do though when you're running the recording at the same time though. Like I have to be the audio engineer or whatever to do it all. Like this is completely DIY, and I don't recommend it. That's for sure. So everybody else that got people that actually work with them doing music in the studio things and everything like that, everyone that actually has somebody else that'll at least take care of making sure that something's not clipping or whatever, all the more power to them. I just happen to be in the situation where I can't really find like, a music crew or people that would be in a band. Say Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds had their band and everything. Tom Waits had all the players he had around and everything like that. I don't know, whatever other bands that are similar to that, they kind of have a crew and they kind of have a group together, you know? So I just, even if I do anything where I try to like filter through having other people around to play tunes with or to record with or get a project together, like, you know, I find it hard to like tell somebody else what to do musically or to tell other people how to play something that's my own vision of a sound in a way, because like I just wouldn't want anyone to do that to me if I was playing. It's just I probably would find it really boring, if there's like a percussionist or whatever and they want to like live it up and get their own catharsis out. Like the patterns that I would expect to have any drum backdrops for and everything like that are kind of just, you know, not standard whatsoever. I think they're kind of probably all over the place and kind of like, I use that word, it's kind of like a distant apparition that you can hear now and again. And it probably comes as a result of having my recording software and desyncing on me constantly and then figuring out what to do regarding that. So I'm trying to turn a fault or a faltering situation into into a, not an ass, I was going to say an asset, but I don't know if I'm using the correct word there. But that's all that, you know. That's all that. I'm still getting over having a flu. I'm trying to get a guitar into someone else's usage at this point, if possible, because I decorated it a bit. That happens, doesn't it? But the thing is, though, is that it plays really wonderfully. I did all the setup stuff on it that I could. I'm much better at setting up acoustic guitars than electrics. I thought I knew how to solder and everything like that, which I kind of do, but I just had something happen, had kind of a ghost in the machine following me around, and I wish it would bless me that rather than give me, you know, issues with technical situations. But anyway, yeah. So anyway, I guess that's my video. I don't want to go on too long with it. I just enjoy creating very, very, very much, and I have to honestly start getting into it again where I can steer the wheel a little bit more with a tighter control, or and getting into physical health again too, of being able to mix them all together and everything. It's very important. But yeah, I just want to leave some things somehow, no matter how much the process fights me along the way. I mean, seeing each new day in your own life and everything. I've got no support, no funding, no people saying, what are you working on? How are you going to make the best of the things you're doing? Like, I'm basically like, you're looking at an outcast, but my intent to other people is not bad. But I just happen to be an outcast, and I happen to be born in the generation of identity politics where, to be honest, some of the nastiest people who want to keep you down pretend to have good intention and want to keep keeping you down, because their whole world would crumble if they actually understood you and had a conversation with you and everything like that. So, yeah, that's how that is. I don't care though, you know. Well, I guess I do in a bit because it's holding me back in life quite a bit, but I'm not gonna fold. I'll follow my heart's intent and try to challenge myself musically and everything like that. And hopefully there will be a lot of people that don't like what it is that I do, because when I go out and hear the things a lot of people like, I don't I don't like it. So, but there's a lot of things I do like, you know. And it's like finding something interesting and different if you see an abandoned place in a forest somewhere and it looks all abandoned on the outside and deteriorated, and then you like go in somewhere and there's like some golden organ sitting in a corner somewhere, and the remnants of some generational ghost is in there playing it, with candles lit all around, and some strangely colored quail perched up on an old antique chair or something like that. So anyway, that's my video. Who knows if I'll publish it. Look at the color palettes changing on this phone constantly. That's how you know you gotta have a good one. It's a great phone right here. So surprised I didn't have 8 people standing in front of my phone while I'm trying to record this or whatever. And then it's like, yeah, we didn't see that there. Maybe I could edit that in later.